Beyond the glowing skylines of Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing, China suddenly begins to change. The glass towers disappear. The highways become empty. The air feels heavier, and the silence grows deeper. This is the China most documentaries rarely show. A land of deserts, mountains, border zones, and forgotten towns, where modern power meets ancient geography, and where control becomes not just political, but deeply strategic. Because China is not only a rising superpower, it is also a nation surrounded by complex borders and historical sensitivities that stretch across centuries. To the west lies Xinjiang, a region larger than many countries combined, a place of deserts, oil fields, and mountains, but also one of the most heavily watched regions in the modern world. For China, Xinjiang is strategically important. It connects Central Asia to Chinese territory. It holds energy resources, and it sits directly on key trade routes. But it is also a region where identity, history, and politics intersect in complicated ways. And that is why it has become one of the most closely monitored regions in the country. From the outside, it appears distant, but from the inside, it represents something much larger. China's constant struggle between unity and diversity. Because China is not a single culture alone. It is a mosaic of ethnic groups, languages, and histories. And managing that diversity has always been one of the biggest challenges of Chinese governance. Travel further north, and you reach Inner Mongolia. Vast grasslands stretch beyond the horizon. Herds of animals move across open land. But even here, modernization is arriving quickly. Mining projects, industrial expansion, rail networks. The land that once belonged only to nature is now part of a rapidly changing economy. Move east, and you reach the frozen edges of Heilongjiang, where winters are so extreme that rivers freeze solid, and entire cities operate under months of snow. Here, life is defined by survival, not speed, not technology, but endurance. And this contrast is what makes China so unique, because within one country, you can see futuristic AI cities on one side and near-Arctic rural villages on the other. But perhaps the most politically sensitive region remains Tibet, a place of mountains so high they feel closer to the sky than to the rest of the world. For centuries, Tibet has held spiritual importance, a land of monasteries, prayer flags, and ancient traditions. But it is also a region where history, autonomy, and national identity have long been debated. For China, Tibet represents unity under one nation. For others, it represents cultural preservation and historical complexity. And this tension has made it one of the most discussed regions globally. But beyond political narratives, Tibet is also a place of extreme natural beauty. Snow-covered peaks, deep valleys, and the silence so powerful, it feels almost unreal. And yet, even here, modern infrastructure is expanding. Roads carved through mountains, railways crossing frozen terrain, cities slowly connecting isolated regions to the rest of China. This is a pattern seen everywhere. Remote becomes connected, isolated becomes integrated, and traditional landscapes slowly enter the modern system. But as China expands internally, another invisible challenge is growing. Because controlling geography is one thing, but controlling perception is something else entirely. Inside modern China, information flows differently. The internet is structured in a controlled ecosystem. Global platforms operate differently within Chinese borders. And digital life is shaped by national frameworks. To supporters, this creates stability and security. To critics, it raises questions about openness and expression. But regardless of perspective, the result is undeniable. China has built one of the most advanced internal systems of governance in the world. and it operates at a scale few countries have ever attempted. Meanwhile, outside its borders, China's global influence continues to expand. Trade agreements grow stronger, infrastructure projects multiply, and international partnerships deepen across continents. From Africa to Southeast Asia, China's presence is no longer indirect. It is visible, strategic, and long-term. But global expansion also creates global friction, because every rising power eventually enters competition with existing powers. And in China's case, that competition is increasingly focused on technology, trade, and influence, not just military strength, not just economics, but the architecture of the future itself. And while this global tension grows, inside China, another challenge quietly develops: demographics. For decades, China's population growth supported its rapid economic rise. But now, the structure is changing. Aging populations, smaller workforce generations, rising economic pressure, and new expectations from younger citizens. Because a generation that grew up in a rapidly modernizing country does not always think the same way as the generation that built it. And this creates a new kind of internal pressure. Not visible like borders, not loud like protests, but slow, structural, and deeply significant. At the same time, economic growth is also entering a more complex phase. After decades of explosive expansion, China is now navigating slower growth patterns, real estate challenges, global supply chain shifts, and technological competition with the world's most advanced economies. Because building fast is one phase of history, sustaining power is another, and transforming power into stability is the most difficult phase of all. Yet despite these challenges, China continues to move forward, quietly, strategically, and with long-term planning that often stretches far beyond typical political cycles. But perhaps the most important question is still unresolved. Is China's rise the beginning of a new global structure, or the peak of a cycle that will eventually face its own limits? History does not answer this quickly. It takes time, sometimes decades, sometimes centuries. And in the next final part, we move into the most sensitive layer of this story: China's future, its global ambitions, its internal contradictions, and the possible paths that could define not just China, but the entire 21st century world order. The future of China and the world order. Every great civilization reaches a moment where the question is no longer how it rose, but what comes next. China today stands exactly at that point, a nation that transformed from an isolated, war-torn land into one of the most powerful economic and technological forces on Earth. But history has one consistent pattern. Rise is never the final chapter. Sustainability is. And uncertainty always begins where certainty once existed. As the world enters a new era shaped by artificial intelligence, automation, and digital power, China is no longer just participating in the global system. It is helping define it. But this influence comes with complexity, because China is operating on multiple timelines at once. The short term demands economic stability, the medium term demands technological leadership, and the long term demands geopolitical balance in a rapidly changing world. And balancing all three is extremely difficult. Inside China, innovation continues at remarkable speed. Artificial intelligence systems are being integrated into industries, transportation, healthcare, and urban planning. Electric vehicle production is scaling globally. Renewable energy projects are expanding across vast regions. And advanced infrastructure continues to reshape how cities function. In many ways, China is attempting something no large civilization has attempted at this scale before: to modernize continuously without losing internal stability. But external pressures are also increasing. The global competition over semiconductors, AI systems, and advanced manufacturing is intensifying. Countries across the world are rethinking supply chains. Trade networks are shifting, and technological ecosystems are becoming more fragmented. China, once deeply integrated into global manufacturing, is now also facing restrictions and strategic competition in key sectors. This creates a paradox. The same global system that helped China rise is now also adapting in ways that make its next phase more complex. At the same time, China continues expanding its international influence. Through infrastructure investments, trade corridors, and long-term partnerships, its global footprint remains significant. But global perception is divided. Some see China as a model of rapid modernization and development. Others see it as a system that prioritizes control over openness. And this difference in perception shapes global relationships in profound ways. But perhaps the most critical factor in China's future is not external. It is internal, because every rising civilization eventually faces internal pressure points. For China, these include demographic changes, economic restructuring, and evolving expectations from a younger generation that has grown up in a completely different reality than their parents. A generation that is more connected, more global in awareness, and more exposed to alternative systems of thought. This creates a dynamic tension inside society, between tradition and modernization, between control and adaptation, between stability and change. And how China manages this transition will play a major role in shaping its future trajectory. But beyond economics and politics, there is a deeper layer to this story: China's identity. Because China is not simply building a modern state. It is balancing thousands of years of civilization with the demands of a rapidly evolving technological world. And that is not just a political challenge. It is a civilizational one. Historically, China has experienced cycles of unity, fragmentation, collapse, and renewal. From ancient dynasties to imperial transitions, to modern revolution and reconstruction. Each phase has reshaped the nation while preserving its core identity. And this historical memory still influences present decisions. It explains the emphasis on stability. It explains the fear of fragmentation. And it explains the long-term thinking that defines much of China's strategic planning. But the world China is entering today is fundamentally different from any previous era. Because for the first time in history, power is not defined only by land, armies, or resources. It is defined by data, technology, and digital ecosystems. And in this new environment, China is both a leader and a competitor, a builder and a challenger, a stabilizer and a disruptor, which makes its role in the 21st century extremely complex. Looking ahead, there are multiple possible trajectories. In one scenario, China continues its technological rise, strengthens its economic resilience, and becomes one of the central pillars of a multipolar world order. In another scenario, internal pressures and global competition slow its momentum, leading to a more balanced but constrained position in global affairs. And in a more uncertain scenario, rapid technological change and geopolitical tensions reshape the global system entirely, forcing all major powers to adapt in ways that are not yet predictable. History does not choose one path in advance. It unfolds through decisions, events, and consequences. And China is now one of the key actors influencing that unfolding. But beyond predictions and analysis, there is one certainty. China's impact on the 21st century will be profound. Because whether viewed as a model, a rival, or a transformation of civilization itself, it is already shaping the future in real time. And perhaps that is the final truth of this story. China is not just a country being observed by the world. It is also a mirror reflecting the direction the world itself is heading, a future defined by technology, power, control, connectivity, and uncertainty. And as this story closes, the question remains open, not just what China will become, but what the world will become alongside it.